Hello, and welcome to the Vlogging Pod. Tonight, we are joined by Jenna Udenberg. Welcome, Jenna. How are you this evening?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It really is. I love having these chats with people. I mean, you get to sit down and you get to just, do my favorite thing, which is talking.
We're in good company, then. I love it.
Oh, awesome. Great. I love that. So, Jenna, when you think back, you know, as we all do, especially me, because I'm probably the oldest here. When you think back to your younger self, rolling onto those first paved trails or into a classroom as a music educator, what do you envision? Oh, if you knew life and your purpose you'd be for building today?
Ooh, great question.
Was it too deep for the first one?
Oh, I love it. Kindred spirit. Oh, that's good. I guess it would be to not take life so seriously. And perfection is the enemy of done.
Oh,
Something
that's
I'm trying to learn now, but I wish younger me
mm,
also knew that. And to always stick with my gut. I am such a stick up for the underdog, leave things better than you find them. Like just all those things that make you fully yourself. I wish
mhm.
that I would have been more courageous to always stand up for the underdog or to always leave things better than I found it or to always dig deeper. And I'm sure when my friends and family listen to this, they're like, are you kidding me? Um, but I have more confidence about it now. So I wish younger me had that confidence. And I don't know if it's just, being 45.
Mm,
Something happens
yeah.
when us women hit our 40s. But, typically with age comes wisdom, not always, but I guess that would be the nuggets I would want to give to my younger self.
I can appreciate that. I'm in my 50s. I can't remember if it's 52 or 53. I'd have to calculate that. But I'd like to go with the lower number if I can, please.
Hey,
Like picking
I
a
can't see
vow,
a driver's license. You're good. 52. Love
Right.
it.
Like picking a vow, I'd like to buy a vow. I'd like to buy a lower number.
Right?
I can relate to that. I really can. I think the best thing for me would be to be more appreciative about who and what I am and stop
Mhm.
trying to be something I'm not for everybody else. Just
Love
kind of
that.
like, yeah, kind of feel your own feet. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So now you've often spoken about the power of perspective. Literally, you've quoted, you said 4 feet 2 inches. And yeah, and how has living from that seated view shaped the way you see not just your challenges, but the beauty in everyday life that many of us might overlook?
Yeah. So local view from 4'2" is the column I write for the local paper, and I literally measured my eyes, so I wasn't lying to the world. So, yeah, sitting in my manual chair, yep, my eyes are at 4'2". It's interesting, I guess my most favorite story about it is, like, when I take pictures when we're out on the trails, and bridges are my thing. I love being on bridges. The construction of them, putting my robotics mind and engineering mind into it is awesome. The aesthetic of it is awesome, let alone the freedom that it creates, let alone, the accessibility that may or may not have been there to get me on a bridge. But it's so funny, I come back to the story of a good friend of mine who helped me name my book and name my column and wordsmith some things. And she's like, "Jenna, you always take pictures like with the slots of the bridge in the picture. Like, why don't you?" Because she knows that I could lift my arms up higher. Like, why don't you go from that vantage point? Or why don't you like zoom in because you have a nice iPhone? Like, what? What? And I'm like, but that's what I see. And
Mm,
so the slots and the metal and the wood and the, whatever material that bridge is made out of, that's a part of the images that I see. Those are the memories that I make. And so ever since then, she has a much greater appreciation for the naturally, that's a word I made up, by the way, the naturally pictures that I get to take from myself too. And And yet this is might be a little crass, but other people's like, "Jenna, is my fly up?" Because that's also where my head height is. So, if you're a true friend, I'll tell you when your fly's down, but if you're not so much, I just kinda giggle and keep wheeling on. But, so much of life is like I can see different things. So, like, I have, helpers, and so I'm, like, wheeling through my kitchen. I'm like, "How can they not see that there's, like, water on the counter or grease or, like, whatever?" And I always have
Mhm,
to be reminded, like, when y'all are high when your eyes are higher than 4'2", you can't see the differences. You can't see what is dirty or what is clean, right? So,
mhm,
um, I have to remind myself of my, like, ableism that I have in my mind or, like, the judgment that I have behind my own eyes as well of, like, "Oh, well, of course they can't see it because 'cause they're this height or they're that height or they're just oblivious to whatever it is." And so, yeah, so we're all learning, we're all on the same page. I shouldn't say the same page. We're not on the same page, but we're all together that puts us hopefully in the same book or at least in the same library or the same Kindle, like, wherever you going,
yeah.
right? But, yeah,
Oh,
the perspective is uh, so cool because I'm never gonna live the life except for my own. So I need to learn
right.
from people's stories. I need to ask those curious questions, and I really appreciate when others ask curious questions and don't make assumptions or don't make judgments because they see me as a manual wheelchair user or because they see me as a white woman in rural Minnesota or because they know that I'm an author or because, I'm a former music teacher, but asking those
Yeah,
questions. So,
right. I can relate on some of those as well, the white part, rural part.
okay, woman,
And
all right.
slash author, I
Mhm.
can relate to a couple of those.
Nice.
Now you made reference to your book and writing and author, so let's touch base with that. Your book is called Within My Spokes, a tapestry of pain, growth, and freedom. Now, you're writing this was a memoir, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So, writing a memoir is such an intimate process. I mean, there are moments when you had to pause, right? I mean, did you reach that time when you were writing that you were like, "Oh, wow, this is just deep."
Yeah, for sure. Not only in the writing, but also in the editing phase. I mean, after a while, I just got tired of hearing my own story. I got tired of reliving the pain. I got tired of yeah, kinda like I said earlier, just hearing my own voice, right? Like, I needed to
Right.
indwell myself with other people's stories for a while, other voices. But I also had a really great, coach at the beginning of my writing, and she just said, "Jenna, you're a type A, and so am I. And so you're writing your memoir, don't write it chronologically. Just write
Right.
the stories that you can write with the energy, the heart, the spirit that you have in that day, and give yourself grace. Because when those hard topics come or those hard stories come, it's gonna take it out of you. But there's a greater reason of why I was called to share my story on a much larger scale.
So, with emotion so raw, did you find yourself having to put the pen down a lot? Take a pause on it?
Not when I was really in the groove. More often than not, I was flabbergasted what came out of my fingertips on my keyboard. So when I go
Mm.
back to read later, it's like, "Wow, I really? I wrote that?" And a lot of times that just happens. I've been given the gift of being a wordsmith, and so granted there are still, editing errors and all the things that happen when you're writing.
Yeah. I'm well versed with those.
Like, I have no idea why my right hand or my left hand is so over exuberant, but, the word "and" that should be A-N-D, I always do A-D-N. It's like, let the right hand have their moment. Give them the N at the right spot. But, yeah, and so, just some of the pauses, and then I did look back and, I had a great prayer support and just encouragement support that I was intentional about at the beginning of this of, like, this is a lot. This is heavy. This is a heavy lift. And yet in some of those parts of the memoir, it was like, wow, that was a lot. That
Right.
those were hard stories. Those were hard times to live through, and yet I'm stronger because of it. Yes, I have the scars on my body, literally and figuratively, but they're there for a reason and they're no longer wounds. They are just scars.
Right. So, where did you find the courage to go forward in writing your memoirs?
For all the hard stuff in life, it's definitely my faith. It
Mm.
it keeps me moving forward. It'd be super easy to give up, and, for those that aren't familiar with Northern Minnesota, Udenberg, we have a special kind of stubbornness, and so I try to use that for good and not for more hurt or pain. And so, typically, when I set my mind to something, or if somebody is to tell me it's something I can't do, I'm gonna say, "Hold my flavored water. I'm gonna show you how to do
Hold your favorite water. How now, I've never been to Minnesota, but I love your governor, so there, we'll put that up there.
it." Yes, come and visit anytime, especially the North Shore. It's beautiful up here.
Yeah. So, now I skipped around a little bit because I wanted to point out your books when you brought it up,
Yeah.
but you were coaching, right, for the Robo Dweebs? Is that it? Am I getting
Yeah.
that correct?
Yep, starting
Tell
my
me
3rd
tell me
season.
about that.
Yeah, so the Robo-Dweebs is a first Lego League team I started 13 years ago. An awesome retired engineer came into our school, was trying to get the science and math teachers to take it up, and heard about it, whatever, and I was, at the time, starting to think about doing my master's in educational technology and tech integration. And so I reached out to him, and he came in my room, and he's like, "There are no chemistry setups. There are no labs, but there's xylophones and recorders. Do you teach music?" And I'm like, "Yes, music is the cog of the wheel. Like, everything comes through our hands and our voices in all the things that we learn." And it really started an amazing relationship, and, so, yeah, I wouldn't be still doing it 13 years later if it wasn't for really believing in this program. So every year, quick synopsis, around the beginning of August, international teams get a box in the mail from Lego Education, and there's anywhere from like 3,000 to 5,000 pieces in it. All the pieces are eventually create like around 15 mission models that every team in the whole world puts together on usually like an 8 foot by 4 foot board. And every year has a different theme. So this year's theme is Unearthed. So then the kids, all the mission models and their research project all revolve around how can we help archaeologists improve. So you take a real world problem, and the kids, middle schoolers, by and large, have to come up with a real world solution. So from interviewing professionals to doing fundraising and doing budgets and creating prototypes of some sort, whether it's just a drawing or diagram or an actual prototype that actually works. And so it's just an amazing program, and my favorite part is core values. We have 6 core values that we have to live out, and the best part that I love about this is that you're creating teams of kids that maybe would have
Oh,
never rubbed shoulders. They would have never been on a team together, and so you're just making better human beings. We're all learning together. One of my favorite core values of the past was, the coaches don't know everything, so we learn together. And and I love that because so many people are intimidated by coding and they're intimidated by robotics. And it's like, it's Lego. If something breaks, you just put it back together. Um, you know, and yet it teaches these kids real world examples of like presenting to judges, being judged, using a rubric, completing tasks on time, doing project management. And another component that we really love is working with our older generation in town. And so we do what's called Lego sets across generations. And we've been blessed to have a lot of different grants come in. And so we get Lego sets, we build with our elders in our community. And it's just a great way for kids and adults and older adults to pass those times and see each other's hobbies and just learn from each other. So as you can tell, I'm very passionate about it. I spend a lot of hours at it, and it's just a great program.
that's awesome. It sounds like a very joyful adventure.
Yeah.
So, what would be the main lesson? I mean, I know you talked about a lot of things that you have come as you've gotten more each year that you've done it, but what would you say is the most learning process that you've gathered from the robotics team?
Great question. But
I
they're
sometimes
funny.
have them. I know, I surprise myself sometimes when they come out.
I would say that it truly takes a village to raise a kid, and so it takes our
Mhm.
whole region and state to raise my team, and really it takes the whole world. I mean, I was so thankful during the pandemic that the families dug deep and we figured out how to do it, and, we went to state. I was the coach of the year for that year, like, and I don't say that to toot my own horn, I say that to toot my kids and my family's horn because we dug deep and we just figured it out, right? Like, every life is gonna get thrown lemons. We can
Right.
choose to make lemonade, we can choose to throw the lemons back, we can choose to get mopey, or you just dig deep and you do something great with it. And I think that's what I love the most, and we're always lifelong learners. So, as much as these kids learn from me and my co-coach and I sit every week going, "What was that?" Or, "Wow, I failed over here. I need to go, have this humbling conversation with a 10-year-old tomorrow at our next practice because I blew it." But those are the real life conversations and the real life lessons that these kids and families and myself need to learn and work through together.
So I'm gonna get a little deep. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Okay. I promise I won't go too far, but we're gonna go a little deep. So, when people hear disability,
Mhm.
many still carry misconceptions or discomfort. How do you how do you open up the conversation that helps them move past those barriers and begin to see disability as part of the human story and not as a limitation?
Oof, we got like 6 hours. You told him.
20 minutes, 20 minutes. That's all we got.
Right. I think I would take an assessment of where they're at first.
Mm,
What is their connection to that word? What is their connection to that beautiful community and culture? And if they haven't experienced the beauty and the strength and the courage that just innately exists in disability culture and community, and just that, I don't know, the French say it best with a je ne sais quoi, right? The I don't know what.
mhm,
But when you're in that space, when I'm in that space as somebody who grew up predominantly in the non-disabled world and only in recent years has started to confront my own ableism as somebody who's been in a wheelchair for 38 years, it's absolutely amazing. And when I get to sit in a space where I'm a majority person and not always a minority, and I don't have to put on my superhero cape, and I don't have to prove my worth, and I don't have to do 12 times more than my non-disabled peer, and I just get to be me, and that's 100% okay, there's nothing like it. And so it makes me sad when the main societal definition of disability is unable,
mhm,
and that we put so much value, especially in America, especially in the Western world, of it's survival of the fittest. If you're physically fit, if you're 100% healthy, if you're, blue-eyed and blonde-haired or, whatever it
mhm.
is that we're
Right.
saying is able, is saying is beautiful, is saying is worthy, is enough, is all those big buzzwords that a lot of people don't have to think about because they just belong there. But if we're all truly honest with ourselves, there are times that all of us feel unworthy, unneeded, unwanted, and disabled. And I don't say that in a flippant way for people who are disabled and listening to that last
Right.
comment, but it just makes me sad when we take that label or we're taking people's dignity away.
Mm,
And
yes.
that is what gets me, and especially as I see, my parents and family members and community members aging. And I think that's the population that has that hardest. Like, I've always said in my whole life, I'm so thankful I became disabled as a child.
Mm,
And everybody's like, "What do you mean? That's horrible." And I'm like,
mhm,
"No, because I had the neuroplasticity to and I didn't understand. right? I didn't understand what's happening to me. I didn't understand what arthritis was. I didn't understand what this wheelchair was going to mean for the rest of my life. And yet, I've learned so much along the way, and I could be adaptable. And so, if there are older folks, listening to this, which I hope there are, like, embrace that. I know change is super hard, but it isn't bad. And I know that mobility devices can be scary, and I know that they can be different, but my chair gives me freedom. I am not bound to my chair. It gives me freedom. And so whatever devices, whatever ways of making life easier or sustainable or bringing back your dignity need to happen, allow them and appreciate them and embrace them, because there's so much more to life than worrying about what Joe Schmo walking or wheeling down the street thinks of you.
Right. I think that's incredibly deep, the sentiment that the chair gives you freedom,
Mhm,
because some people would look at it, this is my prison, this is my cell. And you look at it in a way that this enables me to move forward.
mhm.
And I think that's incredibly deep. I like that. I like that a lot.
Great.
So you've been reorganized as both a Bladen Foundation leader. Am I pronouncing that right? Is it Bladen?
Blandon.
Blandon, okay.
Mhm.
And a Bush Fellow, 2 honors that speak to your vision. So, looking ahead, what's the dream project that's still just coming forward or something you wanna reach a little bit farther for?
Hmm. So, my diagnosis does not determine my disability. The environment in which others put me in determines my
Mhm,
level of disability. And so I long for the day, because the Americans with Disabilities Act is the largest unfunded mandate the American government has ever put forth and turned into law. I long for the day, especially in rural spaces, but in all of America, that we would fund and we would make accessibility and inclusion a part of every project, a part of every building, a part of every programming, a part of every ministry, a part of every thought process. From the inception of the idea to the ribbon cutting to the training of the people working behind customer service to the medical profession, and that we get out of all of these different versions of disability and we can be more like other cultures where it's like, these are humans and they're all valued and they all have wisdom and they all have dignity and they should get to go and be and do anything that they want to in any way, shape, or form that they choose to or can.
without going too deep on this, I'm just curious, so
Yeah,
without going too deep, I'm simply curious.
yeah.
And this isn't in my writing, I'm just simply what you're saying and about our government putting things in place for your ultimate goal.
Mhm.
Do you feel that the current situations will make that harder to recognize the bigger dream that you hope that will come to reality?
Hmm. So initially, my gut was like, yes, absolutely yes. Like, yeah,
Yeah, I feel
but,
you.
but then my spirit and my belief in disability culture and community went
Mhm,
absolutely not. Because people always, always bet against us.
mhm.
They don't think that we have the tenacity, the wherewithal, the connection to funds, the ways to make this happen. And so that empowers me to know, yeah, no, we're going to show up in big ways and we're going to
I
do this thing because our lives depend on it. And once your lives depend on it, you can't stop us. You can't.
I really hear that Minnesota, "You know."
In the
I
Philippines.
absolutely love it. I love it. I do agree with you, and I think it even extends beyond the subject matter that we're talking about. I think as a whole, when people go together, we will persevere.
Yep.
I wanna
And
thank you so much. Oh, go ahead.
and I was just going to say, and it's going to take the allies to come alongside.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
so often that's what happens with disability movements is because our bodies do fail us. Our bodies do change some of the things. And so for those that are non-disabled, but they are empowered by this, get connected, do the thing, step up and learn and be curious and be willing to say, "We're not gonna take it anymore. This isn't okay, and we're gonna right these wrongs."
I agree wholeheartedly with that statement. I do, I do, I do. I wanna thank you so much for being with us. I think we could go even deeper and diver on this.
Absolutely. Would love to.
Well, awesome. My door is always open. If you ever wanna come back, just hit me up and we will make it happen.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here with us. I wanna thank our listeners as always. Until next time, guys, bye-bye for now.